Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of MyTeam Career Mode here for part 4 of the series, this time for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at the Imola circuit. I have decided to do every Pirelli hot lap. I won't be showing all of them though, I'll only be showing some every now and then. Yeah, just to sort of save on video time and to make it not too repetitive. That's how we'll be doing it. We come into this round in 11th place in the driver's standings, 8 points for us in total, 8th in the constructors as well. You can see here our results so far. So far, worst result is 14th, which isn't bad really. To be fair, our best result, obviously the first round out in Bahrain, where we got very lucky with some DNFs and mistakes and damage for the others. And yeah, that allowed us to finish in P6 and score our first and so far only points of the season. But yeah, we're heading to this round, obviously our first sprint round as well, so 2 races to get through in this video, and we're going to be keeping the sprint fairly short and concise. Let's get into the qualifying rundown for the sprint race.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Russell, Bottas, Norris, Magnussen, and Mick Schumacher, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Guan Yu Zhou, and Ricciardo, Vettel, Richard Verschoor, Yuki Tsunoda, and Pierre Gasly, Albon, Stroll, Benjamin, and Nicholas Latifi. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
So here we are lining up on the grid for our first sprint here in F1 22 for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. We line up in 21st, so yeah, really not a great quality session for us. Our car is the 3rd lowest in the performance chart, as you can see here on the screen. In terms of other positions to take note of in qualifying, it was a Ferrari 1-2 there for Leclerc in first, Sainz second. And Verschoor actually did pretty well to be up in P16. Hopefully he can try and convert that in this sprint race and get a good result. Obviously, points for the top 8 here instead of the top 10. But yeah, I'm doubting either of us will really get there. Anyway, it's just about trying to get ourselves in the best position for the Grand Prix as we get underway. And it is a decent start for us. You can see we had a lot of wheel spin, but we still jumped Stroll there, and we're still closing in on the pack ahead of us. Unfortunately, there's just nowhere really for me to go there. I didn't want to risk making any contact there in turn 1, and that's actually allowed Stroll to come up on our outside, but we sweep around the outside of turn 2 there, almost making contact with the Aston Martin. But that is us up into P20, so already making up a spot there off the race start. Unfortunately, Verschoor has lost a couple spots. He's actually racing away for 17th, 18th there when he started 16th. We're going to go for a dive here into the hairpin though, and we're already on the back of this little battle, although actually Gasly gets a really good run as we get a tank slapper out of the corner then, and again, Stroll now coming back at us. So unfortunately, just not quite able to get the traction that I want to be able to move up the field, but finally, we do get ourselves ahead of Stroll, and Gasly very slow there through the right-hander, and so we sweep around the outside of him, and that's also in the P19. We made a little bit of contact there with the AlphaTauri, but luckily no damage for us, and let's hope and see now if we can maybe make up a few more positions. Only 11 laps here around Imola, so it'll be a very, very quick race, as it's obviously intended to be, thus called the sprint. But as we now head on to lap 2, you can see it's an engine failure for Ricciardo. I have to jump out of the way at the last second there to not hit Albon, and somehow we were allowed to stay in front of him. I'm not really too sure how that happened. I wasn't even meant to pass him. I just, didn't slow down as quickly as he did. But either way, that's us in the 16th now, 2 free positions. And that's good. That we're already from P21 to P16. Verschoor has gone from P16 to P15. So both of us are net gaining at the moment here in a sprint race. We can see lap 6 here. I honestly just did not have the pace to close in on Verschoor. You can see he's just about a second ahead of us as we head down the straight. But looking up ahead, Kevin Magnussen in 7th has gone wide at turn 1. He tries to rejoin, makes contact with his teammate Schumacher there, and he's completely lost his front wing. And the debris from that actually calls out a safety car. So we have an opportunity here now to try and make something happen. Now, I know that I don't have the pace to overtake these guys and to actually keep up with them. So, we're going to go for a bit of an unorthodox plan here. We're going to pit in under safety car during the sprint race. There's not even many laps to go, but we're going to pit in anyway, get on a fresh set of softs, and see what we can do here, because, yeah, it's either sit in P16, maybe make up a spot or two on the restart, and then have to battle those guys to stay in that spot, or throw on the set of softs here, lose a couple of positions, but then have a massive tyre advantage over everyone in front of us, and see how far up the field we can get. This is a bit of an experiment here in our first sprint to see if this alternate strategy will work. You can see we're in P18, we pit in from P16, and so let's see now what we can do on the safety car restart. Unfortunately, not able to do anything immediately off the launch. Unfortunately, we just didn't have the straight line speed to get anything done. But as we look up ahead, Sergio Perez in P5 goes wide to turn 1 on cold tyres. I guess he tries to rejoin, but sort of same with the two Haas cars. He rejoined, has destroyed his front wing on the side of Lando Norris there. And look at this massive train of cars that has been caused by this, because we're all obviously on the safety car restart. There are cars absolutely everywhere. We go around the outside of both Williams cars there. That's us into P15 now, as we look to try and get a move done on either Versure or Gasly. We're already up with our teammates, so obviously this old strategy already working, as we have a massive crash in the background. The two Haas cars again involved in an incident, but yeah, as I was saying, this strategy seems to have worked out for us immediately, as we now get ahead of Versure, who we were behind before the pit stop. So yeah, already we are in a net gang. We're in P14 now, and now we've got about a lap and a half to see how many more positions we can get. Can we even get points, maybe? I don't know. I think that's going to be a bit of a push, but we're certainly going to give it a go as we dive to the inside of Gasly there in the chicane, and we get the move done into P13, and we've got pretty much just over a lap now to try and get ourselves a bit further up. We've got Sergio Perez, the next car ahead, but he's got a broken front wing, so interesting to see if he'll come into the pit lane or if he'll just try and push on for the final lap with a broken front wing. We round the final corner now. We are closing it a lot, so he's definitely hindered here. As Lando Norris is into the pit lane, same too with Perez. So there's 2 free spots as we enter the final lap of the sprint race here in P11. So if we can just chase down Sebastian Vettel, we can get ourselves in the top 10. Obviously, that won't be points, as it's only top 8, as I said before. But if we can get ourselves in the top 10 for the start of the Grand Prix, we could be in a very good position. You can see the end of lap 11. I have caught up to the Aston Martin, but do we have enough time to try and make a move here on the 4-time champion? As we come to the final corner, Leclerc wins the sprint, and we get a better run out of the final corner. Unfortunately, just not quite close enough to get a move done there, but it is P11 in the sprint, and a very good first sprint that we've had here in Emilia-Romagna. You can see here's the results screen there. The Ferraris held their 1-2 and scored max points from the sprint. I don't think too many people actually changed position in that top 8, but for ourselves, massive gain to go from 21st to 11th, making up 10 spots there and putting ourselves in a real nice position for the start of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. You can see it's going to be a bit wet by the looks of it there on the dashboard, but yeah, without further ado, let's get into the rundown for the start of the race.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, George Russell and Joe, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Benjamin and Pierre Gasly, Albon, Bottas, Nicholas Latifi and Vettel. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Mick Schumacher, Stroll, Esteban Ocon, they've taken a grid penalty, and Lando Norris, Perez, Magnussen, Richard Versure, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
And so here we are, lining up in P9 for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. A few people taking penalties heading into this round. As I said, Leclerc and Sainz still on pole and second place there. It's going to be a one-stop strategy from the mediums to the hards, as seems to be the case for every Grand Prix that we are going to this season. We obviously in ninth, as I said. Perez is going to be one to watch out for down in P19 after having to make that late pit stop in the sprint, and for sure unfortunately have to take a penalty as well heading into this one. I'm not too sure what for, but he's right down in 21st, so let's hope he can maybe show us what pace he has and move himself a little bit up the field. I doubt points are on the card, but if we can see where, you know, if he can get himself further up the grid, that would be really nice to see. As for ourselves, though, absolutely points to the goal this race. We're starting in a points-paying position. Surely we can finish in a points-paying position as we go to 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It's sort of a similar start to the sprint, where I get a bit of wheel spin, but overall, a pretty nice getaway. Better than Alonso, but unfortunately, we just boxed in between Gasly, Tsunoda, and Alonso, and we got nowhere to go. So as we head into turn 1, we just got to go side by side with the AlphaTauri, make sure not to make contact. I try and go past the Alpine there, but again, don't want to risk damage here and make a silly mistake at the very start of a potentially points-paying Grand Prix as we slot into P9, so we haven't lost a spot at least. I run a little bit wide through there. We almost hit the back of Alonso, and we're now going to go once again alongside Pierre Gasly, almost running up the back of Tsunoda. We are on the outside of Fernando Alonso, who, by the way, he's starting on the hard comp tower. You can see doing a little radio check there with Mark, make sure we don't have any damage, which we luckily don't, as we swing around the outside of the two-time champion, and we get ourselves into 8th. So already we made up a spot heading into the first lap here in Imola. Up ahead, we got Tsunoda and Zhou, though, racing away, so maybe we can close in on them. But as we cut into lap 2 now, Verschoor already in P18, trying to move himself into P17 ahead of Esteban Ocon. So already, he's made up about 4 spots there, which is really nice to see. He's getting a little bit feisty here at the start of the Grand Prix. He's going to sweep around the outside of the Alpine there, and he does get the move completed. He's now got Lance Stroll up ahead, so can he get himself into P16? Maybe if he can just try and follow Sergio Perez through, who's also made up 4 spots there to get from 19th to 15th. That would be really nice to see from our rookie teammate, who's certainly showing some pace at the start of the Grand Prix. As we now cut to the end of lap 2 just a little bit later, he does go for a move on Lance Stroll here in the Aston towards turn 1. He is going to stay alongside there. He doesn't pull back in behind like we see the AI do sometimes, and he's going to go side by side into turn 1. Does he get the move? They've run a bit wide. I accidentally cut away a little bit there. You can see there's Stroll. He's off in the gravel. He's actually broken his front wing, and unfortunately Verschoor has fallen behind Esteban Ocon. He's under attack now from Lando Norris, but he does hold off the McLaren, and he's so in the end, Verschoor stays in 17th, but unfortunately he should have been up in P16, I guess. A little bit of a rookie error there from Verschoor. I guess that was his fault on the inside. He just ran a little bit wide there. Looking a little bit further up, Mick Schumacher trying to make up for those couple of incidents that he had in the sprint as well. He gets himself into P13 ahead of Nicholas Latifi as well. So a few people having to work themselves up from the sort of the back of the grid after the sprint race. So I guess, yeah, the effects of the F1 sprint already showing itself here in our first time doing it. But you can see here, on to lap 5, we are just in a sort of completely clear air there, as nothing really happening for us at the moment, sort of similar to the start of the sprint. So we're going to go through an order check here. We got Leclerc leading the way by 6 seconds. So we thought after last round in Australia that maybe Verstappen would be able to take a bit of a fight to Leclerc, Leclerc won the first 2 rounds, and then it was a bit close between himself and Verstappen in Australia. But once again, it looks like Leclerc absolutely dominating here by 6 seconds over Verstappen. It's in the 2 Mercedes of Hamilton and Russell in 3rd and 4th. Zhou Guanyu doing very well in the Alpha to be right up in P5. Obviously, there is a couple cars out of order at the moment, with the Red Bull and Ferrari being right down the grid. But yeah, Joe doing very well at the moment. Same too with Tsunoda in 6. Ourselves in 7, looking really nice to score some points here. Our second points scoring race would be really nice. Obviously, our main sponsor goal is to get 2 points finishes over the course of the season. So if we could get that done now and take a little bit of pressure off for the rest of the season, that would be really nice to do. We got Gasly in 8th, Bottas in the other Alfa Romeo in P9. And rounding out the points at the moment in P10, Alex Albon in the Williams. Obviously, again, couple cars out of order, but Albon looking to score some more points here for Williams. Obviously, Albon, the same as us in his first Grand Prix back in F1 there, scored points in Bahrain, finishing in P9, I believe it was, and getting a couple of points. Schumacher looking to try and make a move on the Williams, but he's not quite able to do it yet. Here's Perez trying to get a move done on Latifi into turn 1 here on lap 6. Is he able to get the move done? Not quite. He's going to have to sit behind and just wait a little bit later. Verschoor still sitting in 17th. So at least it doesn't look like he got too much damage, if any damage at all there, with the contact with Stroll. And he's still just sitting in his battle pack. Hopefully he can maybe start working his way up the field once again after, these guys battle around for a little bit. You can see Carlos Sainz right down in P19. He did damage his wing at some point and have to come into the pit lane. So Yeah, that's rough there for Science to have gotten such a good result in the sprint and in qualifying, and then to have, have to pit right at the start of the race for front wing damage and put himself right out of the Grand Prix as we get overtaken by Gasly. There you can see the lack of car development that we have on this Zvezky car and the lack of ERS really showing through there as Gasly, eventually we weren't able to hold him off and he does just fly past us as we cut to the end of lap 10. I've just sort of been sitting behind in the DRS, letting Gasly tow us along here. You can see Sonoda in at the end of lap 10 as we go into lap 11 as we close in on the back of the AlphaTauri. Are we able to get a move done now on the Frenchman as we head down towards turn 1 on lap 11? No, I decided to just sit in behind. Once again, it was going to be too close of a move, and I might as well just sit behind and conserve ERS and, conserve a bit of fuel and not put too much pressure on ourselves until we get to the pit stop phase. You can see he's back for sure, having the Williams, Latifi, and Norris actually battling up ahead, so that's sort of keeping him in this battle. He's in P16 now, as we just fast forward a second here to get ourselves a little bit further on to have a look at what is happening as we head up towards turn 9. Piratella here, for sure, looking to make a move on Latifi. Unfortunately, not quite able to get it done. Although, actually, Latifi makes a mistake and runs wide then, so for sure is able to get through. And Vettel actually looking to make a way through on the Williams as well. Does he get it done? Yes, he does. So Latifi making a sort of costly mistake there, but for sure up into P15. So good to see he's got a bit of pace as we now cut to lap 12. To Alex Albon in P9, looking to make a move to P8. So Albon really trying to sort of consolidate those points here as they head into turn 1, side by side with the Alfa Romeo. Do they get it done? They somehow get out of that without contact, but Bottas does get ahead, and Albon now under threat from Mick Schumacher, trying to get himself further into the points. They are now in the points. We also got Perez behind this, trying to get himself into the points. As we got a bit later on into the lap, Schumacher dives to the inside of the turn 14-15 Variante Alta chicane there. And they're now going to go side by side as they head down towards Ravazza. Is Schumacher going to be able to get ahead in the Haas? The Haas is a bit of a quicker car with that Ferrari power unit. He's going to sweep around the outside. He does get the move done into P9. Albon now down in P10. And unfortunately, I think he's got a bit of damage because he's in on lap 12 there for a pit stop, which is a little bit early, I think, for a normal pit stop. Well, maybe he is in for an undercut. I'm not too sure. But yeah, a bit earlier than we would have thought as Perez tries to get a move done on Schumacher here. These guys battling for the bottom of the points now. They won't want to be stuffing around too much. You can see Bottas has already pulled right away from this, and these guys are going to want to try and get as many points as possibly can. Schumacher does hold on in the end there to P9 for now, but I'm sure Perez will eventually have the pace to do it as we now head on to 14. We are pitting in at the end of this lap, and so no more waiting around. We're not going to wait behind Gasly anymore. Actually, we don't even have to. Gasly makes a mistake on his own into turn 1. He's off in the gravel, and he's going to stop on the inside of turn 2 to allow these cars to get through without making contact with them. And because he's stuck there, that's going to cause a safety car. You can see for sure racing Vettel, he does keep ahead of the Aston Martin. For sure now in P11, so really nice to see that from a teammate. And there is where the safety car is called out, just in time for sure to hold on to that position. And the perfect timing for that safety car as well. Big shame there for Gasly, obviously, but that helps us out as we can now get a free pit stop here for our main pit stop under safety car. We're only going to do the one-stop strategy, of course, unless some other big safety car or some event happens later on in the race. I don't know, but yeah, this timing works out pretty perfectly for us. We're just going to come in straight onto the hard compound tyres. Not going to be making or losing any positions because we're actually in relatively clean air at the moment. However, if we look back a little bit, there are a lot of cars a bit further back here and a lot of double stacking. It looks like the Alpines are double stacking. Who else was double stacking? There was a couple other guys double stacking by the looks of it. Unfortunately, for sure, got a little bit of a slower pit stop because we came in just before him, obviously, and he does lose out the position to Vettel, but that's the only position that he loses. So still P12, not bad there for Vettel, but I did notice this bug happening here where Perez, for some reason, you can see the pit box is empty, but he's just sitting there. I don't really know what happened, but that's all his progress gone. He does eventually get unstuck and do his pit stop. But yeah, it was quite a bit later, and so he's right at the back of the queue now after doing all that work, and now halfway through the race he's been reset. But here's an order check under safety car. We've got Leclerc leading the way. His advantage has now been dissipated by the safety car with Verstappen right behind him in second. Russell's actually got ahead of Hamilton at some point and got himself into third. Hamilton in fourth still. Zhou still sits in P5. It's P6 for us. We have gotten ahead of Sonoda because he did make a pit stop just before the safety car, and so he's been a bit screwed over there by that happening. P7 goes to Valtteri Bottas, Tsunoda there in P8. Schumacher still sits in 9th, and Albon back in the points now after Perez having that bug there in the pit lane. So bit of a silver lining there for the Williams, I guess. Vershaw currently sits P13 now, so I guess someone must have just jumped them in the pit lane as they were exiting there. But still, P13, really nice comeback from Vershaw. Really good to see that he's gotten himself from P21 to P13. So at least we know that he does have a bit of pace as we go. Safety car restart here on lap 18. We get a massive run off the start of the safety car there, and we are up alongside Zhou Guan Yu as we head down towards turn 1. We're getting a slipstream of Hamilton. We head into turn 1 side by side with the Alfa Romeo. We'll have the outside for turn 2, but we do get the move done before that anyway. And so we're into P5 here in Imola. This is not what I was expecting when I said I was hoping for points. And we've got a little bit of a gap here because Zhou was a bit offline, and he's held up the rest of the field. As we now look a bit further back in the pack here, Alonso going for a move on Albon to put him out of the points, but I just did notice now, Alonso actually on the soft, so he's going to have to do another pit stop. I don't know why Alpine have done that strategy, because they've just thrown away an opportunity at points. I'm pretty sure Ocon is also on softs. He is, I just saw him there. So I'm not sure what Alpine's done there. Maybe they ran out of hards, I don't know, but yeah, we have a look a little bit later here on lap 19. Here comes Vershaw for a move on Vettel to the inside. He does get the move done. So Vettel's actually lost a couple spots there, and that's now Vershaw into P12. So really, really awesome to see Vershaw making some moves stick here. And once Alonso comes in for his pit stop, that'll be P11. And then just one more little issue, a little bit of good pace from Vershaw. He could possibly be in the points. So yeah, that's absolutely insane. As you can see, once again, though, just like with Gasly, we do eventually run out of ERS and struggle to defend ourselves, and Zhou does get past, and I'm very much struggling to keep up with the Alfa Romeos. Obviously, they are the best of the rest cars, so we're not really expected to be able to battle with these guys. We cut to lap 24. Here comes the other Alfa of Valtteri Bottas. He's going to fly past us here. As actually, I'm going to try and put up a bit of a fight. You can see Bottas actually went a little shallow into turn 1 there, and that allows us to get back alongside. And we do get ourselves back ahead of Bottas there. So surprising there, we got ourselves ahead. As you can see, Vershaw trying to get away with the battle there with Norris. Unfortunately, it looks like he's dropping back a little bit, actually. So I think, unfortunately, Vershaw's got a little bit of damage because Vettel's gotten past just before. Norris has now gotten past, and he's got Pierre Gasly right behind him. So that really sucks to see there for our teammate. I can confirm now he does have damage, I could see there. And yeah, unfortunately, I imagine he's going to have to come into the pit lane at some point, but we at least know he has the pace, I guess. You can see Gasly forces his way down the inside, and he will sweep around the outside of the right-hander here. That's unfortunate. Magnussen will also probably get Vershaw pretty soon as well, but at least Vershaw again proving he does have pace. It's just we've got to get this car developed to the point where we're not constantly battling with these lower to midfield cars as we once again get overtaken by Bottas now. And that's when I think Vershaw will really be able to show his true colours. Hopefully by the end of the season we can be there. I don't know if we're going to re-sign him again next season. We'll just have to wait and see what unfolds. Unfortunately, though, you can see Bottas does get completely clean ahead there, and he's pulled away 2.5 seconds by the time we're on the last lap. Here comes Schumacher, though, to try and take P7 away from us. He's made a massive comeback. He runs us off track there. Luckily, I've been able to hold it alongside, but Schumacher is going to be able to sweep around the outside there. Unfortunately, it's just really hard to hold the inside of that corner there. Leclerc does win the Grand Prix by an absolute margin. Russell actually finishes second and Verstappen third. Are we going to be able to get a move done back on Schumacher to get ourselves into P7? Either way, we're in the points, which are really awesome to see. We got a nice gap to Tsunoda, so it should be points here. And unfortunately, that Ferrari engine just way too powerful. So in the end there, Schumacher gets us on the last lap, but it's going to be P8 here for us here in Imola. We are going to get our primary sponsor goal completed after just 4 races here to get 2 points finishes. So really nice. More points again for us here in Imola. Really nice result.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home. Well, what a drive that was to take the win for Ferrari today. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
And so it looks like the Leclerc dominance is resumed. Can anyone stop this man before the patch comes out, where hopefully Red Bull and Ferrari will be a bit closer and we see a bit more battling? But at the moment, Leclerc taking advantage of the speed of that Ferrari, and Verstappen not being able to capitalise on at least getting second. Russell in the Mercedes taking that off him there at some point in the closing laps of the Grand Prix. So, yeah, Leclerc just opening that lead further and further at the moment, and if this goes on for long enough, Verstappen won't have the time to close in. You can see here are the combined results for the sprint and race. I'm glad they made this this screen here where it just combines all the points, and Leclerc absolutely dominating, gaining 12 points on the next best scorer, which is Russell. So mega weekend in for one of Ferrari's home races here in Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. For ourselves, we're 9th overall, scoring 4 points there in the actual Grand Prix. No points in the sprint, unfortunately. Maybe next time we can work towards that, but till we've gotten points at all, really, really solid there. In terms of the drivers, Leclerc leads the way by 41 points now over Verstappen. That is absolutely insane. He is destroying at the moment. For ourselves, we're in 13th. We've overtaken our fellow Aussie, Ricciardo, after getting those 4 points there. He wasn't able to score any points in either of the races that we had, so yeah, that's a good result there for us. We've moved our way up. We're on 12 points, equal with Schumacher, actually only a point off of one of the AlphaTauris there. In terms of the constructors, we're P9. So, yeah, unfortunately, losing out a little bit there on some of the other guys around us. Well, more the guys ahead of us. And Williams weren't able to score points in the end, so we stay ahead of them. And Aston Martin, who is still yet to score points here in Season 1. So, yeah, it's looking like P9's going to be it. Maybe we can battle away for P8 a little bit if we develop this car enough. But for now, let's just get into the activities at the end of the Grand Prix. We are going to do sponsor advertisement there to bring in a bit more cash, to power team building, to build morale, second driver external training to build up Versure a bit, and another sponsor event just to help the team out a little bit. Now, we have 1.35 million to play with, and we haven't actually upgraded a proper car development facility yet, and so we're going to go with quality control in the chassis department, which will reduce failure chances by 10 on any chassis upgrades we do. So yeah, I think it's about time we start getting some of that stuff done, because we really, really need upgrades to be coming in if we want to get competitive. We do get some front aero coming in terms of an upgrade there, and we are going to do some more drag reduction as well to help improve our straight line speed, because we were struggling a little bit with that in Imola. Now, going through the calendar there, we get a central under tray and energy store cell positioning done there, so 2 chassis upgrades coming in very nicely for the Miami Grand Prix there. We get some more weekly resources. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do anything with those, so we're going to keep skipping forwards until the 5th of May for the Miami Grand Prix, which obviously we'll be doing in the next video. So if you guys did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. Hopefully I'll have Miami out soon. Possibly a new video format. I'm not too sure. I'm thinking of changing things up a little bit, maybe including qualifying, possibly doing live commentary. So if you guys are at all interested in seeing any of that sort of stuff, make sure to leave a comment below to tell me what sort of changes you'd like to see in my videos. But yeah, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy and want to see more content like this in the future. And I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.